And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a truly, truly fantastic day today on this Sunday. Welcome back, my people. So this will be a quick video, but I was just thinking about Michael Jordan and the impact and influence that he had on the 90s and on 90s culture. And that got me thinking about many of the greats and the impact and influence that they had. Like when you talk about Dr. J, you know, one of the first high flyers, or you talk about Larry Bird, you know, it makes me think about, you know, being a great shooter. And these are just things that I think are most associated with a player. When you talk about Magic Johnson, you think about being a great passer. You know, Michael Jordan came along and the guy seemed to be great at every facet of the game. You get Kobe Bryant that comes along and, you know, you got the Mamba mentality. You got the closest thing to Michael Jordan that we've seen. But even if you're talking about a guy like Allen Iverson, you know, his crossover that he brought into the game. And then, of course, you know, you can get to Steph Curry, and we're talking about being one of the greatest shooters in the history of the game again. And that got me thinking, like, what has the Ducks' influence been? You know, what is his impact on the game aside from being a negative one? What has LeBron James done that once his career is over, you will think back when we're talking about the game of basketball and say, oh, I want to do this like LeBron James? Is there anything? Drop it in the comments if there's anything you can think of. And it just really kind of got me thinking, like, this guy has just totally wasted an entire NBA career, right? Because aside from his own personal game, what will be his impact on the culture of basketball? And ultimately, what will he be remembered for in the game of basketball? Now, I know LeBron James fanboys are immediately going to go to the whole longevity argument. And again, this is bogus. This is some new stuff that they made up just to try to praise LeBron James for something. But again, even if you want to give him the longevity thing, if you want to ignore everything else and say, okay, LeBron James' longevity is tremendous, that's really not anything that's going to affect your game in the now. Again, like I said, when you're talking about Larry Bird, you think about one of the greatest shooters in the history of the game. This is a now thing. This is something that you're going to want to do right now if you're playing the game of basketball. Everybody would like to be a great shooter. If you're talking about Magic Johnson and you talk about one of the greatest passers in the history of the game, this is something that affects your game right now. This is something that you're going to want to be able to do right now. You know, if you're talking about Dr. J or Michael Jordan and the high-flying act that they can pull off, again, this is something that you can work towards. You can work towards your hops right now, and it's going to affect your game immediately. If you're talking about Allen Iverson, or if you're talking about Kobe and the Mamba mentality and the work ethic that it takes to be as skilled as possible, these things are things you can enact right in the moment to be the greatest basketball player you can possibly be. Longevity isn't. Longevity isn't something you can enact right now. Like, you can take care of yourself as much as possible, and you can hope for a long career. You can hope that you never suffer a career-ending injury. You can hope all these things. But at the end of the day, unless you're willing to take PEDs, allegedly, the longevity thing is something that's far off in the distance. And again, which is what makes it not a valid argument when we're talking about the greatest? We're talking about the player who, if you had to pick a player to save the world, who is that player going to be? We're talking about the greatest basketball player to play the game. In other words, the player that you trust to win. So what is LeBron James' legacy going to be? And you think about LeBron James in comparison to the other greats, and it's really just like we've never seen anything like this before, to where there's so many negatives about the guy. Again, the fact that there are flopping compilations out there about a guy who's supposed to be an all-time great, right? This is really unacceptable, and this is how you know he's not actually an all-time great, because to me, that can't happen. A flopping compilation of you trying to trick the refs, as LeBron James said himself in his podcast, Just the Game. And there's compilations of you trying to trick the ref. There's compilations of you trying to cheat the game, and yet you're supposed to be in the greatest of all time conversation. There's compilations of you rolling around on the floor in pain like you were hit by a 12 gauge shotgun, and this happens all the time. Yet in the same breath, people are talking about how big and strong you're supposed to be. Again, these things don't make sense for someone who's supposed to be a great. This makes it really doesn't make sense for a professional basketball player, but definitely not for someone who's supposed to be an all-time great, you know. And so, yeah, to me, when you just compare this, what is LeBron James' influence compared to the rest of the greats? Like, what will be the thing that people can remember for LeBron James and say, I want to do this like LeBron James? What, you want to duck your head and hope that you're 6'8" and 250 pounds so you can stiff arm people like a running back? Is that what you're going to hope for? Like, what is the skill set that LeBron James possesses that people, and again, you know, I've heard, the funny thing about LeBron James is whenever someone's trying to explain why he's the GOAT, they have the most difficult time. It's like, it's so many mental gymnastics. Even Rich Paul, his buddy, is like, whenever Rich Paul is defending LeBron James, it always winds up sounding ridiculous, and you cannot help but sound ridiculous trying to defend the indefensible. So it's like when people, like the latest thing that we saw with Michael Beasley trying to explain why LeBron James is the GOAT, there's so many mental gymnastics when you talk about any other great, you know, whether you agree with who's the GOAT or not. Most people think it's Michael Jordan, and to me, that's enough. That says enough. That says that most people who know the legacy of Michael Jordan, most people who have seen Michael Jordan play or seen video of Michael Jordan play, have decided that this guy is the greatest player to ever touch a basketball court. And that's enough that the majority of people feel like that. But even if you don't agree, whoever your GOAT is that you make a case for, people don't have that hard a time trying to describe why their player is the GOAT. If you think it's Bill Russell, you can point to the 11 championships. You can say that Bill Russell is definitely one of the greatest leaders to ever play the game. You know, if you're talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you can point to his accolades. You can point to his longevity in conjunction with the accolades. You know, if you're talking about Magic Johnson, you can talk about his leadership and his passing. And like I said, the fact that to me, Magic Johnson made passing look as glorious as scoring. His ability to control the game, his ability to control the pace of the game. And so to me, with every other player, there's so much more of a definitive case to state why you think they are the GOAT. But when you see these players trying to explain why the duck, the deer, the leader of the 4 and 6 kingdom is the GOAT, it's like it's like they're trying to solve a geometric puzzle or trying to do algebra. It's always some complicated formulas like, oh, well, you see, LeBron James has so much scrutiny, so you have to throw that in the mix. And LeBron James came straight out of high school, so you have to throw that in the mix. And LeBron James is just a kid from Akron, so you got to throw that in the mix. And when you mix all these things together, you get a concoction of some BS that resembles a manufactured GOAT case. Oh, LeBron James' competition was so hard. In conjunction with that, LeBron James didn't have any help. And LeBron James didn't have a coach. And LeBron James didn't have this and didn't have that while facing the greatest obstacles we've ever seen. You got to throw all that in the mix. Is he starting to sound like a GOAT yet? So, yeah, again, LeBron James doesn't have any influence. I still don't know what LeBron James' shoe looks like. I don't know what it looks like. I couldn't spot it if I saw one. I don't have any friends who told me, oh, yeah, man, I just went and bought myself a pair of LeBron James. And I'm sure all you LeBron James fanboys out there, you guys better own every pair of LeBron James that's available. You guys better own every pair of LeBron James that is available to you. You guys better be supporting in every way possible. If you guys own one pair of Jordans, you should get rid of them. But yeah, I don't know what LeBron James' shoe looks like. And so, LeBron James, he hasn't had any meaningful influence on the culture. The only thing he has done is degraded the game that a lot of people used to love. The only thing he has done is degraded the progress that was made by the previous eras. That's the only thing LeBron James has done in the modern NBA. And, like I said, when it's all said and done, I think most people are going to realize that this whole thing was manufactured. Because to top it all off, as we get towards the end of his career, he's not doing anything to help. He's only doing things to make it worse because he can't help himself. And I feel like it's like a end of career temper tantrum that the guy is throwing because he realizes that he's through 22 years or however many years it's going to be once he actually retires, 23, 24, 25, however many he ends up playing, he's going to realize is that through all those years, through all the shortcuts, through the flopping, through all of these things, he was never ever able to get what he wanted, and that was to be called the GOAT. Like, he's gonna realize that through him promoting the narratives, through him saying it himself, he's gonna realize that everything he's done really has worked against him. It really has worked against what he wanted. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that can make you the GOAT is how you play on the basketball court. LeBron James fanboys. This is what you guys need to realize. The only thing that can make you the GOAT is on the basketball court. We could talk about many players and what they done off the basketball court. We could talk about Michael Jordan and the fact that and Nike and all of these other things. But what makes Michael Jordan the GOAT is what he did on the basketball court. Now, the funny thing is, I believe his success off the basketball court is dictated by how he played on the basketball court. So Nike became what it became because of how Michael Jordan played on the court. Now, if we flip that to the deer, this is why I don't know what a pair of LeBron James looks like. This is why I don't know what his shoes look like. Because his game matches his success off the basketball court in terms of the success that's directly related to basketball. This is why I don't know what the shoes look like, because his game on the court sucks. This is why he can't sell the magnitude of shoes that Michael Jordan sells, is because of his game on the court. If his game on the court was spectacular like that, people would go seek out those shoes. People would want to be like LeBron James. But anyway, we're going to hold up here. Like I said, I was just thinking about the influence of the many greats and the things that they are immediately associated with when you hear their name. Like I said, you think of Dr. J, you think of the high flying, you think of Larry Bird, you think of being an exceptional shooter, you think of Magic Johnson, the greatest passer in the history of the game, you think of Michael Jordan, you think of Air Jordan, you think of a guy that was great at everything, you think of Kobe Bryant, you think of the Mamba mentality, you think of Steph Curry, you think of the greatest shooter or one of the greatest shooters in the history of the game. But you think of LeBron James, and the only thing that comes up is negative. And like I said, even if you want to talk about the longevity is not something that's going to affect how you play in the now. Like if you're an up and coming basketball player right now, LeBron James' longevity means nothing to you. But being a great shooter does. Being a great passer does. Being a high flyer does. All of these things can enhance your game now. All of these things can make you a better player. Having a Mamba mentality does affect you because it affects your work ethic. But there is nothing about LeBron James' game. There is nothing about LeBron James' mindset. There is nothing about LeBron James' insight, because he has none, that people can relate to and say, oh, this is what I want to take for LeBron James. But anyway, we gonna hold up here, people. If you got anything, I'd love to hear it in the comments. If there's anything that you can think of that LeBron James does positive that would help someone's game right now, that you would associate with LeBron James, and you say, wait, when I hear the name LeBron James, I think of this. Something positive, not nothing negative, because there's only negative stuff that you can associate with the guy. It's all negative. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. You all have a truly fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. All right.